Joby Houghtaling is here from the Pecos Valley Bassmasters. Happy Monday to you.
Happy Monday. Good day today. Pretty day outside.
It is a beautiful day outside. We're getting into the holiday season here, and so I don't know if there's a lot of fishing that goes on this time of year. Or...
There probably is around, but not with Pecos Valley. We're not fishing, and I've been saying that the last couple of weeks. And when I came in, just so everybody knows, off air, I told Gene, I said, I don't have much to talk about when it comes to fishing. I still haven't set a schedule or a meeting time yet for our club. Every week I tell myself, take time, sit down, look at the calendar, and get a date so that I can get out to the club. And I have good intentions, but sometimes that's a road paved to whatever that saying is. I haven't done it yet. So I'm planning on trying to have a meeting the first week or so in January with our club. We have fished as early as January in years past, but mostly we start in February. We usually have a tournament somewhere south where it might be warm. Used to be we would go down to Amistad, but we haven't been down there in a couple of years. But if we have one in February, more than likely that's where we would schedule it, down in Del Rio, Texas. But, it just depends, I guess, on weather. I think we had it scheduled down there last year or this year, this last fishing season, and it was real. It was when that massive cold snow and ice went through Texas.
Yeah.
First time in Texas history where every county was under snow.
Everybody had snow, and then it freaked out the power grid.
And then the power grid went down, and just all kinds of issues. And we were actually we were scheduled to be fishing that weekend, so we canceled it.
I'm guessing though, where the power issues come into play is accommodations when you're not on the lake fishing. Because when you're on the lake fishing, you're just
we would have just been freezing, because there was about I had pictures, and I think I even shared them here. It's been since last February or even March. I don't remember whenever I shared them with you. We put them on. I think we did. Anyway, have some friends that are here in Artesia, but that have a house down in Del Rio there on the lake, and they sent me pictures that week because I was talking about us maybe going that weekend.
Yeah.
Right here on this show, and one of my buddies was listening or heard it and sent me pictures of their house. I think it's maybe his dad's place, but anyway, they got some property down there, and it was like a foot deep. They're right on the lake, which it snows and it gets cold down there, but it's kind of rare. Del Rio's down south. It's right on the Rio Grande River. Right on Mexico border, and it's deep enough south that it usually stays relatively warm year round. Hot most of the year, but then in the winter, usually warm, or comparatively speaking. But last year, that just the entire state was under that snow and ice, and everything went down. And I was stupid enough to say we still may be going. I remember saying that here on that Monday, talking about that coming weekend. And then I got those pictures. They had a lot of problems with roads. I mean, the roads were bad. And
well, hindsight's always 20/20. Let me ask you this: what is the as you look at New Mexico, because you really haven't been able to have many, if any, fishing tournaments in New Mexico since the pandemic began. What are you thinking? Might be available in New Mexico for the coming year?
We had a tournament last year. We fished in conjunction with the New Mexico Bass Nation on, I think we fished on Ute Lake, and that lake and their management, whoever over that lake, really wanted us to be able to come and worked with us. We ended up having to not go on the state park side. We had to go on the Army Corps of Engineers has a boat ramp there. And you know what? It may have been conscious what I'm talking about. We fished at Ute, and then I think we also fished at Conscious with New Mexico Bass Nation. Our club fished in conjunction with one of them. So we actually have fished in New Mexico Lake in the last 2 years. One for Pecos Valley Bassmasters, and that was at Ute. This coming year, I don't know yet. I've via some calls and some Zoom meetings we've had with New Mexico Bass Nation and a bunch of emails I've seen from various club members or new officers and directors of our organization. It doesn't look too promising for this upcoming year. In fact, New Mexico Bass Nation, our first round is going to be in Texas. So we're going to fish our first 2 tournaments back in Texas, or that's the plans right now.
Is it because of the fish, or is it because of
it's because of the COVID? It's because our state is still struggling with at the state level with our governor in terms of. It sounds crazy, but you guys have been talking about it all morning. Or not all morning, but you've been talking about it with Representative Townsend and then others you've been talking to. They just can't. They don't. I don't. How do I want to say this? It seems like they don't care that this is a flu and that yes, people die, but. You were just talking about the Colorado governor. I mean, finally somebody that's on the other side of the aisle from me and you probably has decided that this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And, and I haven't read that or seen that on the news, but I trust you.
Well, no, because it's anti-establishment policy. But townhall.com is where the story
you got
is.
it.
Yeah.
And so the governor of Colorado said enough is enough. And our governor's going to hold on, I believe, until she's either voted out of office or until she has to leave office. I really do. I believe that. If she gets voted back in, I think we got another 4 years of all kinds of restrictions and all kinds of mandates, and I don't think anything will be passed in law, but I think she'll hold on to as much power as she can to be able to have a thumb or try to have a thumb on the people in New Mexico. And, I've been all over the state this year and last year. And I'm one of those hardheads that said, I don't like these mandates, so I'm not going to follow them. And frankly, I've not run into any problems anywhere. Now, I have put on a mask when it involved some things that I felt, well, I should do that, but I didn't wear it. I just put it on my ears. And I'm not trying to sound like I want to get people sick. I don't want people out there misconstruing me, but I just firmly believe, based on my faith and some things that I've done in my studying and my prayer life, that this is a flu and it's no different than anything else. And that's just one person's opinion. It's just my opinion. But I think our opinions in the United States should still matter. I think we should still have freedom. And whether or not she gives up that thumb on the back of the people, I mean, she's not doing anything but hurting us. I mean, she's hurting business. A good example is when we go to those lakes, even a small club like us, we take a lot of revenue to those cities or towns or villages nearby those lakes. Even a small club does that. New Mexico Bass Nation might have 70 or 80 boats there.
Yeah.
That's a big influx in some of these communities where there's lakes. And when they won't let us, I mean, everything I've heard is that Navajo, for example, which we don't go to Pecos Valley Bassmasters, but New Mexico Bass Nation certainly probably would up in the northwest corner of the state. That's a big deal for Farmington, for that area. They have that much people in and spending money at the gas stations, at the restaurants, at the motels, there on the lake, spending money there on the lake, all of those things. And when you and what I've been told is Navajo still no tournaments as even today. I think that Conscious would be that way on the state of New Mexico side of things.
So it's not that New Mexico Bass Nation or Pecos Valley Bassmasters don't want to fish in New Mexico. It just isn't
very difficult to do it. If we're going to follow the guidelines, which is law, I believe, which is you got to buy a permit to hold a tournament, and they've got to know you're coming. All of those things. When they say no, you can't buy a permit. Now we could just go. We could just show up at the lake. The lakes are not shut. I mean, there's ramps, and you can back a boat in the water and go fishing. We could do it.
10 of you could show up
and have
at a New Mexico lake and go fishing,
and just not tell the state we're doing it. But we want to follow the laws. And if they don't want us to come, then we won't. And so
you wind up taking it to Texas,
which we. Our club already fished a lot of lakes in Texas anyway because they're closer,
right?
Or they're just as they're close, and we're not just fishing Brantley and really Conscious and Ute. Elephant Butte has been so down,
for years now,
for years and years and years, and the fishing hasn't been real good. At least in our experience, I think there's some probably better fishermen that would say, "Oh no, it's good over there," but It's been down. I think it's like 95% down, which means there's 5% of water capacity.
Yeah.
Which is just, it's still a good size. It's still, for example, it's still bigger than Brantley.
Yeah.
Even at only 5%.
Yeah.
With 95% gone. But anyway, we would fish New Mexico lakes. There's no doubt about it. But I don't know, when our club writes our tournament schedule, because the other lakes are down too. Right now we've not had much moisture this winter.
Right.
And here we are in December.
Yeah, and there hadn't been much snowfall
and not
at
much
all.
snowfall and not much rain.
Yeah.
We had pretty good rain last spring, but so the lakes are down. When we fished Conscious and Ute, they were both way, way down this year when we fished them with the Mexico Bass Nation. Not empty, but way down.
Yeah.
And those lakes aren't that big to begin with, so we still fished. But so anyway, more than likely, we're going to be in Texas as our local club for the majority of our tournaments, if not all of them. If Brantley does fish well, then we'll have some local tournaments on Brantley.
Okay.
I think. Again, it depends. Right now, it's a state lake, but on Brantley, there's a side kind of like at Conscious. It's not Army Corps of Engineers, but
there's
a side where you can just put in.
Yeah.
Now there's not a boat ramp, so we would have to put in. But the same thing applies. We're supposed to get a permit. We're supposed to do all of that, and so right now, as far as I know, they're still this way. Brantley does not have a head person out there. And so we would just be going through the regional state person that's over this region as far as getting permit for Brantley. But, Brantley's right here. When it's fishing well, which it has, it didn't this last year, but in few years, 2 or 3, 4 years ago, one of the hottest lakes was the hottest lake in New Mexico. There was a lot of bass being caught. And it was a fun lake to fish, even though it was real small. For our local club, because number one, there was a lot of fish, and number two, it was right here. We're staying in our own homes. We're driving 20 minutes for the most part.
Right.
Some of our guys come from Lee County, and some from Chaves County, but for the most part, within an hour,
it's still fairly close
at a lake. Yeah. So
well, I know there's a funeral coming up this weekend. I'm sure you want to mention. One of our club members, Terry Tidwell, passed away last week, and the funeral is on Saturday at Denton Funeral Home in Carlsbad, and I know that a lot of our club members are planning on going. I don't know if I'm going to be able to because I might have some work, but that decision is still yet to be made. I'm going to see, but anybody that is interested in that, you can certainly find information at Denton Funeral Home about the time and everything. I think it's in the afternoon, Saturday afternoon. I don't have it in front of me, but you can go to. I'm sure it's on Denton Funeral Home on their obituaries. But Terry Tidwell was a longtime member of our club, and he passed away. So, funeral this weekend. Very good. Well, Joby, that sounds like we are where we are. A little less than a minute to go. You got to see 3 basketball games this past weekend. How's our basketball teams coming along?
The boys are probably neither one where they want to be, number one. The boys probably a little more advanced than the girls. Jeff's team, the girls' team, is really, really young, and so they've got a lot of learning to do and building. I mean, they've got a freshman and 2 sophomores starting. A freshman, 2 sophomores, a junior, and only 1 senior starting. They're starting 5, and so that's a young team. And so he's got a lot to do. And then you've got Michael over there at coach for the boys, and they're coming on. They're just continuing to work. Had a pretty good weekend. They went 1-1, as did the girls. Went 0-2 this last week. They played Tuesday night, and then they played Saturday.
Yeah, Saturday.
And
but
the
boys
played Friday night and Saturday.
And they won both of those, right?
Oh, am I misspeaking? Oh, I guess they did win.